Welcome back, you guys. This is Mark with NCEngravers, and tonight we're going to be working on the FNX 45 tactical model slide. Now, we had a local customer come by. They said, hey, I've seen some of the work that you do. I want to really discuss if there are some additional options on this slide, right? I'm going to be quite honest with you. These are a fantastic pistol as far as shooting, as far as usage goes. However, the only issue is they're super heavy. The FNX and the FNS are just a crazy heavy slide. And quite honestly, if you're going to think about it for carrying or something along that idea, it's probably not the number one choice just due to weight. So, guys, one of the things I want to talk about is some of the hurdles on this slide. I want to go into the work that we're going to be doing. It'll give you a better understanding of exactly what you're watching as that work is performed. We're then going to bring it back once all the work's been done. We do have the rest of the pistol here, so we've got all the lower half of this weapon. We're going to be able to show you guys what it looks like as a complete weapon. Pretty excited about that, just because we have it as a whole piece. Guys, let's jump into some of the hurdles of these slides. First and foremost, we have these weird, odd front serrations that aren't really that deep. They don't really work, and they don't go all the way to the bottom of the slide. So, I'm not 100% sure what's going on with that deal. They're not even like the 509s, which are a little bit more usable. They're certainly not like some of the other stuff that's out in the market with our FS models, with the Glocks and our M&Ps that are out there on the market. I think it's something that they kind of just created and we're sort of like, yeah, cool. However, it causes a major problem when we're talking about doing work on the side of the slide. Are we taking them off? Are we going to cut through them and keep them? You know, what's going on with that? So that's definitely a hurdle that we've got to work around. But it's not the worst one. The worst one is this weird, odd, lower, wider side portion. I don't know what you want to call it, but you see how this has a lip on it? It goes all the way down here. This is somewhat of a problem when we're talking about doing work, because if we're going to do a window and if for some reason we're going to keep that, our window has to be pretty much the same thickness of where these serrations are, right? It cannot be a very big window. It cannot be very tall, just because we would be hitting into that edge. So, these are, once again, are things that we have to take into consideration when we're talking about working on this slide. Now, one of the other issues that we have is the text. So we have the 45 ACP here. You guys can see how far forward of the serration is. Let's roll this guy over. And now we have the SC USA over here, which is more so in line with the serration. So we've got to take into consideration, if we are going to cut this edge off, what's that going to mean as far as the text goes? Okay, we don't want to leave partial text left over. We don't want to go through that process of having, you know, part of, a C or a P left over, but the rest of it cut off. We don't want to cut down into here. You can kind of see this little notch here where it's taken down when you take this down from the frame. We don't want to cut over into here because then we're going to be somewhat into here. We're going to have part of a C left over. Obviously, it causes an issue if you're looking for quality work. If you're just looking to cut it off and you're just like, cool, give me my pattern, yeah, you probably can make that happen. But that's not really how we process work here. Everything's going to be high quality. Everything's going to be thought out and logical before we do it. Let's talk about the work that we're going to be doing. Now that we know a little bit about those hurdles, we're going to be doing a single top window on this slide. We're going to make sure we stay away from that front sight. We're going to stay away from where the barrel's going to lock up. So we're going to see a nice elongated window here on the top, be able to show us some barrel. On the sides, I have decided that I'm going to do a side shave, and that's going to remove these front serrations off here. So we're going to come down the side. We're going to come probably into this lower edge a little bit, and then we're going to taper back off here at the nose. Okay, so it's going to be kind of like a slant, straight slant. So we're going to do that. I think it makes the most sense. We're going to be doing two side windows here. We're going to be doing the new style Cobra nose that you guys would see on the 509 model slides. So we haven't done one of those on a 45 model slide. Currently, we only offer the C model, which is the half circle. So that's going to be pretty interesting. Guys, after that, we're going to go ahead and get it colored and bring it back. I think now what we're going to do is we're going to get this over to the CNC machine. Let's jump into that work. Let's see exactly how it comes out. All right, guys, now that the cut work has been completed, the coloring is done, we've reassembled it, I want to just do a review with you guys. I also want to talk about one issue I have with this specific model slide. So if you happen to own one of these, I do want to talk about a topic that may become an issue in the future. So I want to touch base on that a little bit for those of you that are following along, that have one and are just wanting to know the total details of this. So let's first go into the cut work. We've got a side shave, we've got some big windows on a big slide, we've got a new style Cobra nose which is pretty aggressive, we've got a window on the top leaving enough room for any kind of upgraded sight that you might want to put on there that wouldn't hang over that hole, and of course we left us enough meat here between where the barrel presses up right here, it locks up, and we're not going to have any issues with cracking. Let's take a look at the right side. We did a nice job of not hitting the text, butchering, or cutting through any of that. You can kind of see that also over here. We kept the 45 ACP. Then on this side, we kept all the text. I do believe, now seeing this completed in hand, the pattern could probably be adjusted a little bit more. We probably could come down a little bit more on the sides. We probably do have an option of maybe moving this a little bit closer to the 45 ACP. There may be even some other options of removing the text altogether, but keeping the FNX 45. So I do think that maybe there's a slight possibility that this pattern will become adjusted and change over the future, but I'm not displeased with the way it is now. I'm really happy with the way that it came out as far as being one of the first ones that we've done. So really pleased with that. And of course, it may open the door for other opportunities of other cut work now that we do have somewhat of a familiarity with cutting through those side front serrations. So I think this is a great opportunity to do a new pattern and also potentially open up the door for other opportunities in the future. Now, one of the things I want to talk about, and then we're going to put this together, is this optic on the back of the slide. So, first and foremost, this is the tactical model. It does come optic ready from FN. Now, please don't quote me on this. I don't personally own one of these weapons, so maybe I'm misspeaking here. But I believe that a lot of the times when these come from the factory, they come with a cover plate, and then of course, either they come with or you can purchase optic mounting plates. Now, one of the issues I have with the way that this is currently set up with is this optic is mounted to the slide with only the 2 screws in the slide. There's no support in the back. There's no support in the front, and I will include a couple pictures. I want to show you guys that. Now, we do see a lot of the time where people are like, hey, if it doesn't have the studs or it's not what they call battle ready, I'm not interested in that cut or I'm not interested in that setup. Guys, there's really 2 different versions out on the market which can support your optic on the slide. One of those is the pegs or the studs. We would typically see this in an optic plate scenario where there's a gap in the back and a gap in the front, and the only thing really supporting that optic is those pegs. However, the other option is to cut the slide with a radius cut in the front and a straight cut in the back, having a tight socket, which is how we cut the slides. Now, I understand we're getting a little bit off track here, but whether you're going with a cut from us or you're going with some sort of a plate system on a gun, either one of those is a good deal. However, this is not, okay? Don't run your setup like this, where there's a gap in the front, gap in the back. It's an opportunity to shear these 2 screws off, and then you're going to have to use somebody like me or somebody else to repair this problem, because you probably don't want Billy Bob using an easy out to try to remove 2 screws that are threaded into your slide 3/8 of an inch. More than likely, you don't want to go down that path. It's going to be not cost effective, and it's going to be time consuming while you have downtime without your weapon. The only 2 slides on the market I've ever seen you can do this on is a Canic slide and then the FNX slides. I've never seen that from any of the other ones. I don't know if this is an overlook or a miss on the manufacturer's behalf, but on the Canic slides, the smaller optics that use the 2 closer screws that are together, something like a 507K or a Romeo 0, is able to screw directly to the slide with no support in the back and no support in the front. And of course, we can see it here on the FNX 45. Once again, guys, I know that's kind of getting deep into a topic that's not quite in this build, but I did believe, and I truly still do believe that that was something that should be brought to your attention. This is kind of a no-go. These iron sights are more than tall enough to work with the optic. You can see there's quite a bit of distance here. This sitting on a plate will still work with an iron sight like this. Okay, so these 2 are still going to work together even if you're running a plate on here, which is highly what I would recommend you do. Guys, let's go ahead and build this thing. So I'm working behind the camera. I'm going to do my best not to destroy anything or cause any issues. We will include some pictures of this build if we haven't done so already. One of the conversations that we had with the customer that we've had back and forth was swapping this barrel out to something else that looks just maybe a little bit different. This happens to be a fairly large barrel for what it is. All right, guys, well, there we are. Looks like we are all put back together. Super nice build. Weight reduction is definitely there. We've said it in other videos. We may have even said it at the beginning of this video. We don't really cut specifically for weight reduction. I know there's a lot of run and gun guys that are out there. However, I'm going to be honest with you. So much material was taken out of this slide that it really feels good now. Like, to me, I've handled it absolute ton of different weapons and ton of different variances of those weapons in different configurations between optics and threaded barrels and comps and suppressor sights or no suppressor sights. I mean, if you've thought about it, a gun on the market, I've probably handled one. And I can already tell you along the way that some I will just steer all, way off path and go, nah, I'm not going to own one of those because I don't like something about it. And one of the reasons why I never really liked this weapon was because of the weight. Okay, by the time you put a mag in here, by the time you get this thing all decked out and it's all good to go, it's a heavy weapon for what it is. Range toy, sure. Something that you want to, use on the daily, probably not, just because of that. However, with this change, the very first thing I noticed when this came off the CNC machine was, oh wow, this thing is like nothing like what it was when it went on. Maybe if we end up having a couple more of these come in, I'll do some sort of a weight comparison on our Instagram or our Facebook. If I would have weighed the slide prior to, I probably would have done a weight comparison on the way out right now. But it's just kind of one of those deals where we don't really do that, so we don't gear our work around that. However, staying in contact with us on Instagram and Facebook is kind of the place to be, because if you were to see something like that, that's where it's going to show up at. We're not going to end up doing a YouTube video just on weight comparisons, but it would show up as a small snippet kind of thing over there. Highly recommend that. If you're not following along on YouTube and you haven't clicked the subscribe button, then you're missing out, because we're going to end up doing a lot more videos this year. We're trying to get back on track with every week to 2 weeks to 3 weeks, putting a fairly decently large video out, something new, right? A lot of companies out there just doing reviews. A lot of companies out there showing you, part 1 of 17 of their build, and they just kind of elongate it out. For us, it's, every video that comes out is going to be probably something you haven't seen before. That's the number one reason we're doing the build video, is because we haven't done it before either, and we want to take you guys through that. So it's an opportunity, I think. Definitely hit the subscribe button. Let us know how you like the video. Please leave us a comment in the video. It helps other people understand different things, like stuff that you liked or something that you didn't like, or it just kind of gives people more of a feel of what their options may be. And they do also want to hear from the people that have already had work done. So that's one of the reasons why we have Google reviews. We would encourage you to post pictures. We would encourage you to let other people know that you've had work done, what your experience was, and it just encourages other people to have that done. Guys, feel free to reach out to us via email. That is the best way. We obviously you can do that through Instagram, and you can do that through Facebook as well, but email is the way that we do process orders, and that's the way that we're going to get you to the front of the line, because that's how it's done. And if you need anything, just let us know.